I'm obsessed with voice. I love the voice. The human voice is possibly one of the most interesting things I've ever come across, and it's got so many branches of investigation that you can get lost for years down there. And if we have more time, I would love to discuss at length, whether you wanted to or not, all of these different branches and different aspects. With the time we have today, though, what I'm going to do is provide you with some specific threads to pull on so that you can do your own exploring. I want to encourage you to experiment and to explore like all great artists and scientists should. I believe that each artist is a scientist and each scientist at heart is an artist as well. And so today I want to share just 3 core ideas with you. Number 1, the voice is uniquely human and your voice is unique to you. Number 2, everything is connected. Voice use is a full body and mind experience. And number 3, your voice is an instrument, and using it is a process, not a product. In an age where we're so willing to commodify and side hustle every usable skill that we have, we sometimes forget that the tools that we are given are there for us. They're there for our benefit first and foremost. And why is your voice unique to you? Only you have your lived experience. Only you are your own unique set of circumstances, language, culture. Today I'm going to be mixing the terms music and musicality a little bit, and voice and singing a little bit, mainly for time. But I don't want you to worry. Because if you're not a singer, please don't worry. Your voice is musical whether you sing or not. Although I hope by the end I might encourage you to explore it a little bit. The voice is a universal instrument. And what do I mean by that? I mean that all humans have voice and we share some musical ability with other species, but only we have all the skills that we possess. Part of what's known as the coevolution of music and humanity. Many animals have the use of beat and synchrony and operate with rhythm to communicate. Many primates do. Surprisingly, kangaroo rats do. Very groovy little animals. Human beings have innate absolute pitch. At the brain level, we can recognize down to a very fine degree what frequency we're at. Only 1 in 10,000 of us will retain that to become a usable skill, sometimes known as perfect pitch. We are also some of the few animals to have relative pitch and to be able to transpose. Cats and rats can recognize a sound within an octave. They can tell you if you're an A or an A below, but they can't really communicate that very well or make much use of it. And we are the only big primates that can transpose key. So say, for example, we all start singing Happy Birthday, and it never quite starts as intended. Sometimes it doesn't finish as intended, but it tends to gravitate more towards some central concept. We are the only big primates that can do that. The next closest one is gibbons. We have the cultural coding of language. We are language learners, and of the over 7,000 languages that are out there in the world, many of them are tonal. The nuance and distinction between pitch and prosody, they distinguish the meaning of a word. We have social and pro-social reasons for using our voice. Some of that comes out of the adaptability theory of humanity's evolution. We're bipedal, which has made our hips narrower, which means that we birth our young much sooner. And they are small, and because we are hairless, they cannot grip on, and they are very vulnerable, and the only thing they have to communicate with us is their voice. We use it from the second we are born. In fact, it's one of the things they check. So, I would like to go a little bit into the voice. I could talk about this for hours, but we have a day. So, I'm going to go over the larynx's functions first, very, very quickly, and we like to talk about the power source filter model. In a nutshell, the air from our lungs, our power, comes up over our larynx, over our vocal cords, which is the source, and out through our mouths, which is the filter. Some would argue I have no filter. The larynx, beautiful as it is, absolutely love this thing, sits at the front of your trachea, made almost entirely of cartilage and ligament. If you stare into it from the very top at this wonderful predator-looking creature here, those are your vocal folds or vocal cords. And at maximum, they're maybe 2.5 centimeters large, more likely between 1.7 and 2. They're about the size of your thumbnail, and they're only 4 skin cells thick. They vibrate anywhere from over, let's say, a few dozen to over 1,000 times a second, depending on what frequency you're operating at. We are the only creature that is built exactly like that. The way we breathe is what we call a semi-autonomic function, meaning it can be done on automation. It can be automatic. It must be automatic. At over 25,000 breaths a day, we don't have much say in whether we do this consciously. Most of our inhalation and exhalation is tidal. Say, for example, when we are asleep or not thinking about breath. We have aerobic breath for when we are active, and we have focused breath, say in our meditative practice. There are differences between passive and active exhalation, and numerous studies, some of which I quote at the end, show that rapid versus slow breathing can energize or calm us respectively. Inhalation versus exhalation can raise our heart rate or lower it. If you're going anywhere from the centuries, thousands of years old practice of pranayama, or anywhere closer to this century's version of Wim Hof method, breathing practice has been essential to human function. I put the typical box breath that you've probably seen if anyone has any self-care apps. They're very big at the moment. Or if you've done any kind of meditative breathing, you've probably seen the box breath where we keep everything nice and even and predictable because the brain loves a pattern. Several studies recently have shown that nasal breathing is preferable to oral breathing. Oral breathing causes dental issues, insomnia, dehydration, and loss of laryngeal function, which is worrying when you think that up to 40% of adults in the West have chronic nasal obstruction. Nasal breathing engages your olfactory bulb and sends lots of lovely signals up to your limbic system. Nasal breathing can also cut exertion by about 50%, depending on the study. But the main thing about singing breath is that it's conscious. Here I am with the singing and the voice again. We have our inspiration and our exhalation. When we inspire, the diaphragm, which is this lovely little jellyfish-looking dude here, likes to lower. And when we exhale, it comes up. We have no conscious control of that. If you've ever been told to sing from the diaphragm, probably in a very plummy voice, that's lovely. Your brain can't control it. What you can control are all the muscles around it and the way you're thinking about breath. And the main thing when it comes to singing and voice work that is conscious is that you are breathing in a certain place. You are thinking about placement, you are thinking about timing, and you are thinking about anticipation. Benefits of breath work include higher heart rate variability. For example, in resonant frequency breathing technique, which has been shown to assist us in adaptive emotional regulation, particularly right around the sweet spot of about 6 breaths a minute at a 1-to-2 ratio of inhalation to exhalation. So if, for example, you were looking for a quick and easy exercise that you could take away today, if we set a click for ourselves, say we inhale for 2 through our nose and exhale for 4 through our mouth. Let's try that together. So, you are doing science, absolute science. Several studies have shown that this kind of conscious breathing technique is more effective than mindfulness and meditation from a huge literary study of 2023 that looked at all the various studies that had gone into breathing technique, had kind of cumulatively taken all of their data and said that actually it is one of the most effective techniques for resilience, for building that relaxation technique. Synchronized breath can also increase empathy. And you synchronize breath with people when you perform with them, when you sing with them, when you use voice together. The brain's a wonderful thing, and it is very much a part of our voice. Of the over 80 billion neurons in the average human brain, they all aggregate the information from our main 6 senses. That's the 5 you're thinking of plus balance. of which some would also argue I do not have. Music and voice production is multi-regional. It's called multimodal, which means that it cross-wires and co-activates many areas of the brain, almost more than any other activity. We're particularly keen on the auditory area and the visual area, including visualization, imagination, because it triggers our imagination. And you'll notice that the somatosensory association area is lovely, just wedged right between the two. Those visualization areas are closely linked to survival instinct. And while singing could be said to have no inherent survival instinct on its own, it triggers all of the same areas of the brain that do. It touches on your limbic system and your amygdala, your periaqueductal gray, which is somewhere in that middle little bit there. It's also known to engage your default mode network. That's a discovery of the last 20 years or so, that singing, especially vibrato, engages your default mode network, which is normally only active during passive rest and introspection, giving credence to the idea that singing and voice work can be a mindfulness practice if it engages a part of the brain that is normally only seen in reflection and quietness. The fact that it emphasizes touch and visualization lends credence to the idea that it's a somatic practice, increases our somatic awareness. We are very sensory creatures. We're very emotional creatures. The mirror neurons in our brain mean that you and I can share emotion just by the tone of our voice. Most of you can probably tell I'm ridiculously excited, possibly over-caffeinated. If I called you up and I said, I need to talk to you, you would immediately know that all is not well. Those are our mirror neurons triggering our sympathetic, our fight or flight system. But use of the voice also triggers the parasympathetic system, our rest and digest, through the vagus nerve, my favorite. It's linked to our larynx, as you can see, and it runs all the way down our spine, having an impact on most of our major organs on the way. If you wonder why you get a tricky tummy when you're nervous, that's why. But our brain also engages with sound. Sound encourages our endogenous opioid system to engage, meaning we can control our pain or need less anesthetic when we're engaging with music. It gets our reward system going, it gets our dopamine flowing. And that can aid in treatment of anything from diabetes to dementia and Parkinson's. What are the benefits of using voice and singing? You can adapt your thought responses. And musical engagement, not necessarily performance, according to a 2023 study, but active engagement, including active listening, can induce and maintain neuroplasticity. Improvisation and anticipation of music and anticipation of the unknown can help with our stress responses, and it has pro-social benefits. But my favorite is that it gives you agency because your voice is a barometer. If you're dehydrated, your voice will tell you. If you're tired, your voice will tell you. I want to leave you with one idea about how to make it unique for yourself. Whether or not you are a singer, when you use your voice, make it musical. Because making it musical makes it measurable. You can use pitch, rhythm, tempo, any number of musical variables to vary your work with your voice. Or you can just have a really cool playlist that you really enjoy listening to, and that will trigger a lot of the same areas. And that's completely unique to you. What floats someone's boat will not float someone else's. Your voice doesn't have to be about singing, but it is inherently musical. Where possible, move. Where possible, use rhythm. Where possible, make it group work, relate to other people. And wherever possible, sing. Because having one process to focus on is so much easier than trying to do all of it in sequence. Somatic work is multidisciplinary and personal, and I would argue so is the voice. So what is your voice saying to you? Thank you very much.